Meghan Markle has been accused of being possessive after being spotted smothering Prince Harry at major event, by a body language expert. The Sussexes were seen attending a polo match together in California, where a body language expert claimed Meghan was displaying maternal behavior towards her husband. Expert Judy James said, Meghan adopted command, control, steer mode, placing both hands around Harry's face as they kissed. Not long after, the former butler of Princess Diana, Paul Burrell, echoed these concerns. Mr. Burrell said, I thought that Meghan was this breath of fresh air who would modernize the royal family and bring all the vital elements that were missing, but what kind of love is this? I feel that, from her body language at the polo, she came across as smothering. Paul isn't convinced that Harry is happy with his new life in the States. Trying to resurrect his life by playing polo in Santa Barbara isn't going to cut the mustard, he says. It's not the Guards Polo Club at Windsor where everyone he went to school with plays polo. What mates is he going to find in California? He's not grown up there with anyone. Paul predicts that at some point Harry will return to the UK and be reconciled with William. Harry's going to need his brother one day. I think he will come back to this country with his tail between his legs. His brother will put his arms around him and say, Welcome home, Harry. I don't think he's totally happy. I think he's missing his brother, I really do. I think he's missing his family. I think he's missing his friends and the lifestyle he had here in England. I think he's given everything up for Meghan and I don't know how long he's going to be able to live that life. So with much being made of the fact that Harry and Meghan won't be invited onto the Buckingham Palace balcony following Trooping the Colour this week, given they're no longer working members of the royal family, does Paul think this will bother them? I think Meghan's producing, directing and starring in her own version of her life, her own biopic, which is playing out on the American stage. I think they will care that they're not on the balcony because that is a picture that will relate to their American platform, he explains. The picture of them with the Queen is an acceptance that they still belong to the club. But they don't belong to the club anymore. He continues, I think everyone will treat Meghan and Harry like handling a porcupine, very prickly. You need to be careful as you might get hurt. And according to the former butler, it's likely that Harry will meet his family in private before any public appearances to try to clear the air. I think Harry will have to see his father and his brother before the public sees him. They'll have to iron out some creases before we see him with his family. I think Charles and William see Harry as a bit of a loose cannon now. If they didn't see him, I think that would rile Harry even more, and who knows what might happen in the public eye. It's damage limitation. But the public will have a different view of Harry, according to Paul. The world will be watching Meghan and Harry and William and Kate and not focusing on the Queen, he says. They have the potential of stealing the show because we're all fascinated to know how Harry's going to fit back into his family. Talking about how Harry will cope with being with his family again, Paul predicts it's going to be awkward. He says, I think Harry's going to look completely out of place and bewildered. I think he's a lost soul. He doesn't have a place or a chair at the table anymore. So I think to come back to this environment will be very difficult. Knowing what will come out in his memoir when it's published, listen, he's torn.